Hi there, my name is Anna and welcome back to my channel. I thought for my second video I would do a TBR cart tour so that you would have just a better idea of some of the books that I am planning on reading hopefully soon. Granted, some of these have been on my TBR for years and I just haven't gotten to them, but I am doing my best this year to try to focus more on my physical TBR. I'm certainly not saying I can't buy books. That's not at all what I'm saying here. But my hope is to at least get through some of these, especially ones that have been on here for a while. So let's just go through them. First up, I have A Place for Us. I had actually started reading this book and I kind of did a soft DNF for this one. I do plan on coming back to this. The reason that I had stopped reading it was just because I had other books that I knew I was going to read more immediately. This just wasn't priority at the time. I have noticed that this book is very character focused. So far, I've only read, I think, like the prologue and the first chapter, but so far there just hasn't been a ton of plot, I guess. Usually with books, I do need a plot. And so I think that that's why I had kind of an easier time just setting this down for now. So if you don't know what this book is about, this follows a family from India. The kids have kind of gone off, done their own things, and the son especially has been away from his family for a while and they're coming back together for a wedding. They have family things that have happened and secrets and things that they're working through, and it's reminding me a little bit of a book that I had read. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it. But again, a very character-driven book. And this other book that I'm thinking of, I wish I had the name of it. I'll try to put it on the screen if I can think of what it was. Again, that was also a very just character-driven book, and I didn't rate it very highly because of that. There wasn't a lot of plot that was happening. It just wasn't really focused on the plot. It was a lot of conversations between the characters, and I don't usually gravitate toward those type of books. So I'm hoping that this has more plot, but we will see. Oh, I have never read The Hobbit. I actually have all of the Lord of the Rings as well, and I have tried starting the first one, I think like 2 or 3 times, and I have always stopped, and I don't know why, because this is something that seems like I don't know, this just seems like a series that I would be really interested in, and I don't know if maybe I should start with The Hobbit this time around when I go to read it again. I don't know. But these are still on my TBR. I do plan to give these one more try. If it doesn't work out again, I think that's probably going to be the end of that, because I have tried reading these a few times and it just hasn't gone well. Her Pretty Face. This is one of those books that I have had on my TBR for a long time. I don't know why I haven't come back to pick it up, because it still sounds so interesting to me. So I may have to move this higher up on on my TBR, I guess. So this book follows a mom who her son was just accepted to this prestigious school. She pretty much feels like she does not fit in with the other parents, and she is kind of feeling like an outcast, I think, just very different from them, and just doesn't fit in. And she ends up befriending another mom there who is a complete opposite of her. She's very wealthy and beautiful and confident. They end up bonding. She is also not interested in, I guess, being friends with these other moms at this school. So she befriends Frances, the main character in the story. There's some secrets. There's somebody in this story who's a murderer, of course. I'm gonna have to read this soon, because this does sound really, really interesting. Fountains of Silence. I actually don't really know what this is about. I picked this up because I had joined a book club, like an online book club, that was reading this for, I think, February, and I didn't already have the book, so I wasn't planning on reading it that month with them, but I ended up finding this in March for $1 at my used bookstore. And so I picked it up. Since then, unfortunately, I have heard that this book has maybe some things revolving around children, like child loss or something, and I do try to stay away from that. So I don't actually know if I'm going to end up reading this, but I may give it a try and just see how I feel about it. And if it's not working for me, I'm just going to put it down. But yes, I do try to stay away from that type of content. So I'm very uncertain about this. I believe it's a historical fiction, and that's all I really know. A Gentleman in Moscow. So this one I had gotten a while back at another used bookstore close to me that has closed down since then, which I'm so sad. But it is also historical fiction. A man is under house arrest, I believe, in some really fancy hotel. And he befriends other people who are in this hotel, and they're all very different, and it just sounds interesting. I don't really know outside of that what's going on. I believe there's some sort of conflict or war happening in Russia during this time, and he is inside. He is inside this hotel, and that is happening all outside. A Land of Silence. I picked this one up because I have been looking for more Christian fiction, and this is biblical fiction. It revolves around the story in the Bible of the woman with the issue of blood. I am very excited to read this one. I don't think I've ever read any biblical fiction where the character actually encounters Jesus in person, and she does. And so I'm excited to read this and get to that part and just kind of see how this author has imagined this woman's life. And it just seems very interesting. I've never read anything by her. There were some other books that I found by the same author that do sound interesting, so I'm going to give this one a try and see how I feel and maybe pick up more from her. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I have heard good and bad things about this book. It sounds interesting. However, it does follow a housekeeper who maybe does not like the wife that she is a housekeeper for in this home, and she has some interest in the husband, and I believe there is possibly some infidelity in this. That is something that I will just immediately put down a book if that is in there. I have also heard that if you do not like this book, you probably will not like any of her other books, which I thought was interesting, and I'm curious if that's true. I would like to read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, but I am going to give this a try first, see how I feel. If I'm not loving it, I probably won't end up picking that one up. So we'll see how this goes. Fly Away is book 2 to Firefly Lane. I read Firefly Lane a while ago, and in true Kristen Hanna fashion, that book ended very sadly, and so I did not immediately pick this book up. But I do want to. I would like to watch the series. I think it's on Netflix. If you haven't read Firefly Lane, it follows two friends who were inseparable as children. They were very different, and they grew up and were friends, and things happened, and there was just life things that occurred, and they were there for each other and supported each other, and it was very good. And so I'm excited to get to this one. Another book by Kristen Hanna, True Colors. I believe this book follows a family or a couple people in a family, maybe sisters or something, that there is some crime or something that happens, and one of their husbands is accused of this crime, and it just kind of tears apart this town, this close-knit town, and they have to kind of grapple with these things and figure out, I guess, how to either support each other or be against each other. Sounds heavy, of course. It's Kristen Hanna. Of course it's going to be heavy. American Dirt. Another book that I have heard good and bad things about. From my understanding, this book follows a mother and son. They are forced to flee their country and go to the United States. I believe because her husband is a drug dealer, a big drug dealer of some sort, and it's become known who he is, and so they're now on the run from that life. I have heard some things where people did not like this, and I'm curious why. The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane. This story, I believe, follows a girl in a remote village where she falls in love with a man that her parents, I guess, don't approve of, and she ends up having a child out of wedlock. She is forced to give her child up for adoption, and her child ends up in California. This is the story, I guess, of her possibly trying to find her child. Something along those lines. Why do I always read heavy books? I don't know. Why do I come across these? But they always just sound so good, right? Okay, next up, The Unmaking of June Farrow. I'm very excited for this one. This one, I believe I got this for Christmas this past year. I think this is magical realism that follows June Farrow, who is, I don't know if she's discovering some sort of ability that she has, something about some door that appears and she's able to go through it, and I don't know if it takes her to another time or another place. Yes, I can't wait to get to that one. The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So I actually did not know, I didn't realize that he had written a couple pretty popular books that I think a lot of people are reading. I didn't realize that he was the author of that book. I can't even think of the name of it right now, but I didn't realize that he had wrote that when I had bought this book until I went into Barnes & Noble one day and saw this table of just Brandon Sanderson books, and that book was there, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the same author. So anyways, interesting. I have not read that book. I haven't read anything by him, but I picked this one up. This sounds like an epic fantasy. To be totally honest, I'm not sure I completely understand what this book is going to be about, but it sounded like something that both me and my husband would probably like, and I love finding books that we can both read. It's just always fun, like reading books with my husband. So it kind of had me for some reason thinking of the series that I had mentioned in my first video. Let's see. The Sword of Truth series, Wizard's First Rule. This is that one. This is probably not at all similar to this, but for some reason that was just kind of the vibe I got. Maybe it's just because it's an epic fantasy. Anyways, I love giant books like this that are little tiny mass market paperbacks. I'm all about that. I don't know why. So I specifically searched around trying to find this tiny little book. I have not started this. This bookmark came with when I bought it. Oh my gosh, I forgot that I got this. Okay, I bought Virgin River because I had started watching the series on Netflix, and I haven't finished it, but I've loved what I've watched so far, and I thought maybe I would enjoy the books, and so I bought the first one, just randomly. So I am looking forward to that. Okay, just a few more. Into the Water. This is another one that has been on my TBR for a long time. I don't know if I'm going to read this now that I'm reading the synopsis. This may no longer appeal to me. It looks like it follows a 15-year-old girl who may have lost, I'm guessing, her mom in this river, who apparently a lot of women have died in this river. Interesting. Same author as Girl on the Train, which I did enjoy that one. I want to say I rated that maybe 3.5 stars, which is fine. So I wanted to give this one a try too. Okay. We're down to the last few. This is a library book, Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I have read one book by Riley Sager. I think it's on my shelf. The Last Time I Lied. I read The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and I liked it. I liked that that one was set at camp, and so I'm interested in reading more of his books. I have 2 more actually on hold at the library, and I think they're actually ready for me to pick up. I am planning to read a few more by this author and see what I think. I don't know. Will I do a video of that? Maybe like me reading 3 Riley Sager books and seeing how I feel. I don't know. But I do need to get to this because I've already renewed it, I think twice. So I have to get to this. I think we can renew books like 4 times at my library. So that has got to come soon. And then there were None by Agatha Christie. I have not read Agatha Christie, but I have heard good things, and I actually bought this book for my mom for Christmas. It was one of her Christmas gifts, and I thought that it sounded like something she would enjoy, and she did. And then she lent it to me to read too. So I am looking forward to reading one of her books. And I just realized there's no title on the front of this. It's here. This is like one of those collector editions, I think, or something. They had a whole stack of them actually at the used bookstore, and I've heard good things. So I'm curious how this goes. I could be thinking of the completely wrong book right now, but I think this follows a group of people on an island or something. They all go to this place, and one by one something happens to them, and there are clues to who is going to be next. These are my husband's library books. Down here on this shelf, I have a series of unfortunate events, which I am reading through right now. These are rereads. I read these back in, let's see, when I was a kid. I think the 13th one came out when I was in like 6th grade or something, maybe. I just remember reading it, like all of us in my class together. A lot of us were big readers, and we all picked up this 13th book and read it. And on the other side here, I have the Chronicles of Narnia. Have not finished this yet. Do plan to finish it. I have 4 of, I think, out of 5. The Inheritance Cycle. I am currently listening to the audiobook of Eragon, and I think I'm going to listen to these 2 and then maybe read the physical copy of the last 2, because I have gotten through these 2, like physically read these 2, and then I think read part of Brisingr, and that was it. That was as far as I got. And so working on those. And then back here in the front, I just have some nonfiction books at the bottom, and I don't think I'm going to go through those, but they're books that I do eventually want to read. I, for a while, was enjoying reading like one nonfiction per month alongside of the other books that I was reading, or like over a couple of months I would read these nonfiction. And so I may do that again. And that's it. That's everything. Okay, everything is back up there now. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you maybe found some books that sound interesting, or maybe we have some in common. I am looking forward to getting to a lot of these, most of them. I hope maybe this gives you a good picture of some books that I am currently interested in and will hopefully read very soon. So thank you for being here, and I will see you in my next video, hopefully very soon. Bye!